now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess featuring a bonus pin-up and the other 2 books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online bookstores everywhere today. One of my viewers wanted me to talk about the conflict that's going on between the Israelis and the Palestinians right now. Now, over the last 4 years, we have not really heard too much from the Israelis or the Palestinians when your Donald Trump was president of the United States. And your Donald Trump, during the time when he was president of the United States, even went as far to make Jerusalem the capital of Israel as related to U.S. foreign relations, and moved the U.S. embassy all the way to Jerusalem. And there was no sort of issue from the Palestinians during the 4 years that Donald Trump was in office. But only 4 months into the Biden presidency, we have a conflict starting between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And I have to wonder, were both sides scared of President Trump at the time, that they just decided not to do any fighting during that time because we saw no skirmishes between them? But the minute your Joe Biden comes into office, we see the Israelis and Palestinians starting up once again. Now, when it comes down to this whole Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I tend not to be too concerned about it because the Israelis and the Palestinians have been fighting for centuries. Because ever since the Romans occupied the Israel state, they established the nation of Palestine, and they created that state because they did not want the Israelites to have control over their land, and they did not want the Israelites to have power. So when I look at this whole Israeli-Palestinian conflict, this is just one skirmish of many that have gone on for centuries, and they just have been going on like this for the last 300-400 years. So most people really don't get fazed by these kinds of conflicts because they know that these conflicts are going to flare up because the Roman Empire established Palestine, and then the United States also established Israel back in 1940. So you have 2 countries that were established by 2 different empires, and they're both fighting to have a dispute over this land. But I don't really see much things to be concerned about as related to the Arab-Israeli conflict, because this really doesn't have too much to do with black people, because when it comes down to black Americans, I believe our primary focus should be on black empowerment, because what's going on between the United States and the Europeans established Israel and the Romans established Palestine, that really doesn't have much to do with foundational black Americans, and it doesn't have much to do with our issues. I mean, what's going on between those 2 countries is going on between those 2 countries, and what we need to be focused on is getting tangibles for foundational black Americans, and focused on getting the house of foundational black Americans in order, because those people who are a part of the Jewish state and those people who are a part of Palestine, their issues are not any way connected to the issues of African Americans here in this country, because they are going to be fighting for the next, I say, until the end of time, until Jesus returns, because this conflict was again established in the Bible as never ending, and it's only going to end when Jesus Christ comes back. And that's why your foundational black Americans can't really be too concerned, because this conflict has very little to do with our state in this country, because we're already dealing with all kinds of oppression in this country. I mean, we can't really concern ourselves about things going on in somebody else's land when we're being terrorized and oppressed right here in our own country. So you have this conflict going on, but this conflict is something that started up once again because I believe many people were afraid of Donald Trump, and because they were so terrified of Donald Trump and his policies, both sides decided to pull back. But now that they believe that your Joe Biden is in charge, they feel like they can go back to their codependent, vicious cycle of fighting each other. So this was going to go on again no matter who was in office. After a while, if Donald Trump had a second term, they probably would have started up once again. But they were probably really scared in that first 4 years, but they're going back to it. But then again, this has absolutely nothing to do with foundational Black Americans and has nothing to do with the struggles of foundational Black Americans. Foundational Black Americans, we have to focus on dealing with our issues in this country, and we also have to focus on dealing with what we need to do as related to building Black businesses, empowering Black business owners like myself, and going out here and working together towards developing a Black agenda so that we can go out here and work to get our agenda established through our candidates that we pick and use our Black vote to get our Black agenda pushed through so that we won't have to be able to be at the bottom of the world in a country that we built and our ancestors built. So we have to really focus on our issues right now, and we really need to get our head in the game, because focusing on other countries that have been fighting for centuries in a religious dispute does nothing for foundational Black Americans. As foundational Black Americans, we need to understand our struggles and our fight is here, and we need to be focused on dealing with laying out our agenda and using our vote and using our economic base in a more constructive fashion. Because when it comes down to Black America, we've taken a serious loss from the 2020 election due to Black people voting on emotion. And because we voted on emotion, we've had your Joker Joe Biden elected to office, and this man has practically derailed the country in less than 4 months. And that's all, again, because we had a lot of Black voters who were not really educated on how to go out here and vote, which is building a base, going out here and creating an agenda, and then picking the candidate that would get our agenda through. So we need to start focusing on developing our own platform, because the Israelis have their own platform and get money for themselves. The Palestinians have their platform and get money for themselves to continue having their never-ending skirmish. And we need to start focusing on making sure that we get tangibles for ourselves, because there's no excuse for us to be at the bottom of the world in a country that we built and our ancestors built. And when it comes down to Black people, we need to really start focusing on our national platform, and we need to start focusing on our national agenda, because when it comes down to this latest Israeli-Palestinian conflict, this is just, again, another skirmish that is going to be going on until the end of time when Christ comes back. And we need to be focused on getting our platform strong so that we can have a strong nation being built in this country, and we can have a stronger Black community that can compete with the rest of the world instead of being a permanent underclass that your white supremacists are trying to make as related to Black people. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can do like the viewer and donate to the Cash App. And if you want to request a video, you can donate to the Cash App or the Patreon or PayPal. And if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. The mainstream media seems to be going after Bill Cosby once again. Now, earlier in the week, we had your Jaleel White of Family Matters take a swipe at Bill Cosby by saying that he is paying the appropriate price for the crime that he was convicted of but did not commit. And now we have your rapper J. Cole taking a swipe at Bill Cosby at the LA Lakers platform where he made the freestyle lyrics saying that no Bill Cosby S, but if an N-word is sleeping, then F him. Now, this reference to Bill Cosby is saying that your Bill Cosby was participating in the crime of drugging women that Hollywood mainstream media has been pushing for the last several years. And this whole narrative is one that is completely false, but that did not stop this rapper from using